Hey, this is a ladder game from yesterday between Turin and Thomas. I just asked Turin for the best game that he had yesterday. I didn't want to cast any more of Pepsi games because it would just seem a little weird. Cast three in a row. So it took Turin versus Thomas on Forbidden Pass. I wonder if these guys are like big fans of the map or not. I know most players think that it's a decent map, but I also don't think that a lot of people really like it that much. It's like just decent, but not amazing. It also is kind of imbalanced because of the reclaim. It's slightly different. I think this side has more. Yeah, clearly more. And that reclaim is very useful for your starting build order here. Getting all of this can be a very nice juicy reclaim for your first air factory build. You can assist it with one engineer if you get the reclaim. Looks like Turin is really rushing for an expansion here. He doesn't use the build over the wall trick that a lot of people do use. I think this will make it so that he has a little bit faster expansion, but a little bit slower land factory. And I mean, in total, you lose a little bit of time by having to go all the way around. It means that this mech will be delayed, I guess. PNG is reclaiming, that is a massive amount of energy reclaim. Is gonna run out very soon. But he's already built a lot of pigeons, so he doesn't need it for very long. Looks like he's gonna continue with the reclaim though, delaying the Hydra for a while. Let's look at what Thomas is doing. Alright, he's also getting the reclaim with 2 engineers, and now he's going for the Hydra. It's also always interesting in maps where the Hydra is a little far away, how the players will choose to approach this. It's interesting from a spectator's view, but it's also very annoying for the player. Or at least it is for me. It really have to use your remaining brain cells from playing too much sentence. Think about not overbuilding energy, because when you finish the Hydra, you'll have a lot extra energy, so you don't want to overbuild in your base, but then you don't want to underbuild either. And you don't really want to rush to Hydra too fast, because there's a lot of walk time. Looks like Thomas is a pretty slow expansion here. I mean, on the south, he's definitely further back than Turin. Not too much, actually. Oh, actually, that is quite significant. I'll take it back. Yeah, that is quite a significant amount of time there. Let's see the top expansion. Well, that is neither player really wants to go there yet. Yes. No, there is some reclaim queued up. One thing about putting reclaim in your build order like this is that you don't really know if you're gonna need the reclaim when you reach it, unless you really worked out your builder. Looks like Thomas is wasting his energy reclaim here. And he's also now working on the Hydro, but he does seem to have a decent amount of energy already, so finishing this Hydro might mean that he overflows a little bit. Burns finally getting his own Hydra as well. And he has 2 air factories up, but Thomas also has 2 air factories going for the transport. Now, I think every time you're gonna go for Inti first, or Scout first, for that matter. And just trying to work up to an Inti count, like 3 Intis-ish is enough usually to defend a transport. Because if enemy tries to kill the transport, you go behind their Intis and kill all of the Intis, like really fast. It looks like Thomas is using his transport to pick over his expansion on the south. I think... No, I don't think anything. That's fine. There's like these 4 mech spots here that well, neither player is really grabbing right now, but I think Turin is probably gonna go for that one. He's going for the southern one, which again, I mean, well, Thomas is actually going for that one too. There's an air fight, and it looks like Turin has less intis, but went behind Thomas intis, and now Thomas is in a lot of trouble. He's not gonna be able to get this expansion. He's hoping to get the top expansion now. But there is a tank. The tank is in a really weird spot. I think at this point probably best to defend the 4max expansion with the tank. Because you know your opponent will probably be trying to get that. He has another 2 tanks coming there though, so maybe he's gonna be fine with that. Looks like a Mantis got through. This is super annoying. Player's not paying enough attention to see that. Turin using his air control, killing a bunch of NTs and bombers and stuff. It's all good. Another transfer from Thomas, and this is again pretty much just gamble, you know, like Turin has air control, so you don't know if you're gonna, you know, reach anywhere with the transport. He is moving it away from his base, clearly fearing for his life. And I gotta say that it looks very good for Turin here. Did lose 2 mexes that Thomas has, but he has the 4max expansion here, so he's still ahead by a couple. Well, he would be. He has these. There are a lot of minor differences, but I think definitely the biggest difference is that Turin dominated air so hard. If you look at the kill-death ratio, it's like 2.8. I think that counts only mass value. I'm not sure, I might count energy value as well for units. Oh, I guess it must actually, because area fights do matter a lot in scoreboard. If it was just mass value, it wouldn't count that much. And it looks like Thomas is going for the drop, and yeah, this transport is well, I don't know if it's paying off, but it actually gets the drop off even though he has no air control. It's kind of a thing about using air is that once you get air control you need to make something happen, otherwise it's just wasted. Looks like Thomas is in a decent spot again, just killing this 4 mexes. Pretty brutal. There's a bomber, but well, we'll see if he's able to snag that bomber with a couple of intis. It's pretty hard to defend a bomber. There's just so many things to look at in the map. And, yeah, he's gonna have to patrol his intis if he wants to defend that. It looks like Thomas is actually also catching up in air. So air fight will be even again. And the catch-up, I think the catch-up is coming only from just having more assistance on air factory and all that stuff. The fights were bad, like pretty much everything that Thomas has done with his units, air units, has been bad, apart from the drop over here at the top. So yeah, I think Turin just got the better of him everywhere, but now it seems that he's still fine even after that. Turin must have done something. This build order. No, he's building a lot of extra energy. He's right now full on energy, so.
Commander under attack.
I think this is what building big lines of pigeons can do to you very easily. Thomas is very bravely making gestures while he's really not sure about his air control, right? I mean, he lost air earlier, and there's no reason for Turin to be losing air at this point. Even though, well, looks like he... No, there's the Thomas there. I was just looking for a second and maybe I missed something. But Turin is able to get an expansion away from Thomas. Good stuff, and Thomas is now stranded with no units in the middle of the map. You could probably even kill this AC if you saw it. And Yeah, now losing this expansion is massive, but Turin also losing his expansion, so things are getting evened out immediately. Looks like Turin has the idea of gonna kill Thomas, at least gonna get him low, maybe on the red. But if Thomas has overcharge, he will be able to deal with this pretty easily. And both players are trying to use air. I really like this, where if you're not sure if you have air control or not, just throw a couple of bombers, a couple of like just some transports to some locations. And transports are pretty expensive usually, but bombers are dispensable. There's a little, and it forces a reaction from the opponent, and from that reaction, sometimes you can get some free inter kills. Sometimes you can get a whole air win because you get a better turn, or sometimes you just see his air count and you're like, well, maybe I should not fight air for the foreseeable future and just focus on making more intis. In this case, Thomas is not paying attention and loses all the bombers with no threat of Turin losing air. Turin has regained the top expansion. I am curious about the reclaim counts here. How much reclaim do you leave behind when you lose your base? Looks this one. These are all Turin's units, and they really didn't achieve all that much. Thomas lost like 4 or 5k HP. Not really great for Turin, to be honest. Turin could have used his units down south while he's attacking his expansion. A lot of reclaim will be left over here, and these are both players' units, so Thomas is getting a huge trade, even though he does lose 4 mechs. Hopefully he can reclaim there very fast, and so this transport is on the way. So even if you lose your mechs, you might be still get ahead from a trade, just because you get the reclaim. In this case, I'm not sure. He lost his mechs for quite a while, and looks like there's still fight over it. Maybe Turin will be able to hold on to this reclaim field for now. Both players still antsy about their air, but it does look like Thomas might have more intis, and he has caught scent of Turin's air force getting behind it, but he's not getting behind the cloud. He's only a couple of stragglers, and looks like no air win for him this time. 2 intis though. Nice stuff. And I think he knows he has a little more air. He can afford to make some tier 2 upgrade. He could have also made a couple of bombers to make use of that, but it's his choice to make. Looks like Turin is not going to tier 2 air, and thing is, they both have a lot of energy, tier 1 energy right now. It's not that necessary to get the tier 2 pigeon unless you want to reclaim your pigeons. Looks like 35 pigeons for Thomas is quite a lot, and investing into a lot of tier 2 mechs. Turin with only 2 tier 2 maxes. That's not a lot, but yeah, it is quite a massive difference actually for Thomas. I think he definitely has a lead here, holding on to the air control and having better eco. However, Turin is about to get a massive amount of mass here, and he can also pressure the expansion, get those 4 maxes for himself, and suddenly it doesn't look all that bad. There are there's a couple of archers at the top, so maybe he can also pressure the top, although Thomas seems to be aware of the possibility. Well, 4 anti-airs, 5 anti-airs here. I don't really see the point there. This is cute. Yeah, this reclaim field is quite juicy, and Turin's getting all of it. Looks like Thomas has invested much more into air than Turin, but less. Yeah, more into air and more into mexes. That's kind of good part about air, is that it doesn't take that much mass to build. I guess the pigeons do take quite a bit of mass though, because you require a lot more pigeons for building air. He had 35 to like 24, so pretty massive difference there. But Turin hasn't been able to push the top side. He did get a nice win on the bottom. Maybe this will even it out. There's quite a big score difference, but if you look at the mass collection, it was pretty even now. And what's the reason? He did finish 4 tier 2 max, 3 tier 2 max, and finishing 4th one now. Is he gonna go tier 2? Yes, he's on the way, right? I thought I saw tier 2, but that was a land factory. So no air tier 2, and that's totally fine to choose to go tier 2 land, of course. You'll still get the tier 2 pigeon with that, and maybe, you know, Nothas are good, but you know, tier 2 land can really make something happen too. Really have to go for to air. I think he's just, you gotta make a token amount of air to be able to fight the enemy when you're under your anti-airs, at least, or at least scare your opponent so that the enemy doesn't just take complete air control. If your plan is to go to land, that's totally fine as well. Looks like he already got a flak out. That's the first unit he makes from his HQ. Also, Yilshubos instead of the hover tanks. It's quite an interesting choice there. I've seen Thomas do these drops all over the place in recent times. I mean, by recent times I mean like yesterday. He was just dropping all over the place against me as well. And you know, the thing about drops is that sometimes they end up just being mass gifts and not really doing that much. Even if you kill some mexes, if you lose all the tanks, it can be quite bad. In this case, it's just really annoying to deal with. And it might be worth it here because it's kind of hard to go and manually reclaim all these tanks that you drop. Also, it ties off a couple of units from Turin to have to chase these units, and maybe relieve some pressure at the other locations. Looks like Thomas is making full use of his air right now, but there is quite a bit of anti-air, so it is possible that we can still fight it. And Thomas probably not looking to engage air on those locations, so could be using some inties to clear out the gunships, but chooses not to do so. A lot of artillery at the top against a lot of tanks. If you move these tanks, I mean, the artilleries won't hit very many tanks at all. I think I saw Esperanto do a similar thing on this map where he would just spam, he had won the game practically, and he just kept spamming Medusa and they weren't hitting anything, they were just dying. And it feels like Thomas is doing a similar thing here. It's only Medusa, I mean Medusa are great, but you need a couple of units there to protect them. They're really good when the amounts of units get really big. I mean, this is a nice amount of tanks, definitely, for Medusa to kill, but still, you need a couple of units to finish off the enemy units that get too close. It looks like Thomas has chosen to go TML. I think this ACU went to tier 2 and TML launcher in the front. That is an interesting choice. You usually see that, but seems to be quite good. There are at least one max outside the base. It's gonna get. Oh, looks like the TMD did finish. That's really nice for turn. But at least one max will go down, and also maybe the support factory. I'm not sure if the TML has enough damage to kill that. A little bit of a problem here, in that Thomas already queued up all these missiles, and really did pay quite a lot for the missiles. Also, the Zuis are firing at this, so he's gonna get. Oh, he does get the entire reclaim here. But he misses out on this tier 2 max. He only wastes the missiles, so this is actually quite a evening factor here in this game. Somehow, Thomas is also pushing him out on the south side. The ACU has retreated to the water. Instead of fighting, he's letting his units die here. It's all very nice of him. And this looks like an even battle, but I think Turin has a good chance of just running in and killing all of Thomas' Medusa. However, he chooses not to do so. Maybe he does not realize how much Medusa there are. There are a couple of tanks here though. So maybe it would be an even fight. One thing about this fight would be that there's already engineers ready for Thomas to reclaim though, so probably a good choice to stay back for now. Turin already making engineers of his own as well in preparation for the fight. Also, there are a couple of wrecks in the ground already, looks like, so nice reclaim. And Ilshivos are online on the south. There's already 3, and Ilshivos are pretty expensive, so not to mention that the build power is really expensive and time consuming to get, so getting all that Ilshivo, maybe that sacrifices expansion for the Ilshivo. Might have been a mistake though. There's a lot of reclaim that Thomas is getting his dirty hands on right now. However, I feel like Turin could contest this with that insane amount of Ilshivos that he has. He is not brave enough for this fight. Thomas doing all kinds of fun stuff with his ACU, building a shield, which is quite paranoid. At this point though, there's a high chance for air snipes and stuff, simply because there's a lot of mass in the field and also a lot of power in the base. And a lot of, it's just so many mechs is being built. And what does the mass situation look like right now? It's like even. It already has all of this. And the player already building TMD in these locations. It's just really unlikely to have TML in this map. But Thomas did scare Turin, so maybe he'll be more cognizant of that in the future. There's also this expansion. It's just maybe there were some gunships or something here. Not sure. Got cleared though. This is a moment where you wish you were Cyberburn and you could assist your AC upgrade. It's a sad time for Turin building that slow tier 2 AC upgrade. Fighting flak against gunships. Gunships can win a fight against flak, especially if they're Seraphim gunships. These are renegades though, so they're not that great. Flak survives, one gunship goes down. This gunship could still win the fight. If you micro the gunship, they're actually really good against flak, but it's just kind of time consuming to do so. And yeah, it's not that easy when there's multiple flaks. At a certain point it just tips over and all the gunships die immediately. Simply because you can't dodge them anymore, there's just too many. Looks like the fight continues over the reclaim field top, and this is still quite a nice amount of mass, so definitely worth investing mass into just like getting units here. I mean, even transporting a couple of Ilshivos here would tip the balance and you would get all this mass. It would be quite massive, I feel like. Then again, the Ilshivos are doing a good job trying to retake southern expansion. It's also very important business. Transport also retaking some mexes and stuff. This amount of Ilshivos is very scary though. There are a lot of Medusas which have the potential to completely disable this tier 2 forest, but I feel like this is still enough Ilshivos. It's just a massive amount. I feel like the mass cost must be quite disproportionate between these armies. I mean, it's a lot of Ilshivos. They're not cheap units, and they're not getting killed either. It doesn't seem like, okay, one gets stunned there, but they weren't really getting stunned all that much either, so Thomas should be getting scared here. Also, he also knows that the ACU is south, so it is very scary to fight over anything where the ACU is close, especially at this stage of the game where you can get upgrades really fast. I mean, just having one gun ACU here or a couple of 50 PD here, and you immediately establish the reclaim, and it's really hard to push the ACU away. if it's a gun ACU, it's pretty much impossible to cost efficiently take it out, and it's tier 2, well, MMLs are kind of hard to use, but it is definitely possible to push the ACU away then. But having fought this, well, Turin is actually making his PD way too far away, but now Turin is just trying to get his hands on all of this reclaim. The more units he kills, the more he's going to be able to reclaim later on. Looks like all of the Corsairs that Thomas was building up are coming in now. There are quite a few flags here, but the Corsairs target the flags. And, well, there's one more coming in, but the rest of the flags have been cleared up. This is starting to look a little bit like a Master Nation. However, yeah, there's not that much stuff from Thomas still, so might still be fine for him. Really not much happening up top, even though there's still some mass. Nope, not that much. Really South is getting all the action, and what has Thomas been doing with this? He's just chilling here, playing safe, like a good macro boy. Getting some tier 2 maxes. South is really what matters here, it's because of the amount of reclaim, and I mean, it would have been a better move for Thomas to just retreat earlier, and he would have not lost all these units and had bad trades here. Now Turin is able to get a lot of reclaim. Shield and a tier 2 raider, that is maybe a little bit too much of an investment for this. He is very scared of the Corsairs though, so perhaps that's warranted. Now Navy in the middle, this is not something you usually see. He also made a torpedo defense, which really doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I guess he's scared of Wagners, but like they're not gonna kill the naval factory or anything in here anyway, so. Wagners coming in. And gunships are really nice for this, even if you don't have air control. It's kind of hard for your opponent to try to snipe gunships that are on your side of the map, because they're too scared of flags. So just having a couple of gunships around to clean up Wagners and stuff like that can be very useful. However, there is a Ilshavo from Turin, which does do quite well as well. Looks like Corsair snipe on the power right now. Or is it? It's on the tier 2 HQ. Which, to be honest, I have to say that it doesn't feel that significant right now, because Turin doesn't really need the units. He already has the Ilshi count. It's a massive Ilshi count that he doesn't really want to push into Thomas' base. That seems a little too risky, so does he really need to build that much more Ilshiva? That was a lot of Corsairs, and there is a Pigeon going down, but what's their power situation look like? Looks like he does need to rebuild a Pigeon. However, it could have been 2 Pigeons. And maybe even more T1 Pigeons. Or could have maybe even retreated with a couple of those Corsairs of the killing Pigeons. Not sure about that. Looks like Turin has clicked on the TMD with all of his air. Kills Padma. Stealth on Thomas' commander. I'm really not sure what he's trying to do with his commander. Also, it is quite curious why Thomas did not try to engage air at any point here, even though he had all these Corsairs ready to snipe the power. So if he had engaged air, let's say over here when the Intis were engaging the Corsairs, Turin would have had to choose if he wants to kill the Corsairs and lose air, or leave the Corsairs and win air, well, or not even win air maybe. I mean, you know, it seems like Turin has less Intis, to be honest, but it's kind of hard to tell. Oh, just running out of fuel because he's I misclicked his assist. But yeah, it would have been an even air fight. And yeah, if he took the air fight, then definitely he would have lost all his power. So there would have been no good way out for Turin. I don't really see why Thomas decided to stay back with his Intis here. Maybe he was just too scared. Maybe he thought that Turin had more. But he does have some nice scouting, so. Should have been able to see that. Tactical missile launcher of Turin. It looks like Turin is going to win this game. Like all the signs are pointing towards it. He just has secured a massive reclaim field. He has a nice amount of tier 2 units, much more than his opponent. The economy, I'm not sure where it's at because there was a power stall right there. And it's still going somehow. I guess it's the TML, right? It's consuming all the power. But it just seemed like it would be quite close. Turin has ecoed up. I'm kind of curious as to what the timing of these mexes was. It's kind of hard to tell when players start making mexes. I'm really not sure when all of these are finished. Wagner's still trying to do their thing, but they're really not getting anything done. Just leaving some reclaim behind. It looks like this reclaim hasn't been, well, reclaimed anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter that much if Turin just chooses to ignore it. But it's still a waste of mass. Nice mass storages and everything. I mean, we're really going for the eco game here, and now players should be thinking about like how do we end this? I mean, Turin is in the driver's seat at this point, and looks like he went straight for T3 land, and I mean T3 land is pretty cool, but like even with T3 land, I mean you're probably not pushing this, right? You're probably content with this position. I mean you have more than half of the map, and you have a nice amount of eco. I mean it doesn't sound too bad to me. So what do you do after that? Do you just keep ecoing? That might be the right move actually. It is really hard to attack without leaving a lot of mass behind, potentially. Turin, did he use his TML? Yes, he's using it now, right? Yes. These were T2 maxes, and both dead. And this one also. And he's moving forward, probably trying to grab this max on the left. Looks like he's in range of that. And there's even more maxes here. Can be killed. Did Turin kill this one as well? That can't be in range. No, it is in range. Turin's in range of a lot of shit. Doing so much tier 2 max right now. I mean, it's looking really good for Turin, to be honest. Also, this Ilshu, I mean, there's just so much Ilshu. I mean, he could definitely just run over this army, but he's still too scared to live behind reclaim, which I respect, but it is quite annoying to be in a position where you have more army, but you're too scared to push in. I mean, that is always a bad feeling. It's when you know that you've made a mistake, but there's really not much you can do about it. Because if you were to do something about it, you might be running into more problems. R2 war is going on here. Really the classic team game disease that Turin does like to avoid usually. I think a lot of players like them saying that Wonder and whatnot are boring because there's just artillery wars and shit like that, but it's like that's what we're doing right now. I mean, there are only 2 land lanes here, so it is quite easy for the game to deteriorate into something like that, or not very often seen here because, well, there's just not much fight to fight over. I mean, there's a lot of space here, very narrow choke, and not that much to kill. However, Turin is the aggressor, he's pushing toward enemy base, and his advantage is so large that he's just going to try to kill us right now. This is not really something you do if you thought the game was even. Because if you think the game is even, then this should be just a mass game, right? I mean, the enemy has equal amount of units here. Enemy will just reclaim it because their factories are closer. This is quite a nice position for this amount of build power, though. Very close to the enemy. And yeah, Thomas just throws in the towel at this point. There's definitely a point in this game where Thomas had the advantage, but But he did not really, he did not use his air advantage. And when he tried to use it, and I've done this a lot of times, when he tried to use it, he just kind of suicided his Corsairs instead of doing anything useful with them. I mean, killing this HQ might have actually been a good thing for Turin. I mean, it's getting all that mass back and being able to remake right here in a much better position. And yeah, maybe preventing him from wasting more mass on Ilshu was. He did stop. Well, actually, this is still making something. It's just flak, but I mean, I guess most of his factories. Well, I would have thought they would have stopped building Ilshuas, but it looks like even at the end of the game, he was still making them, which is just super strange. When there's really not much more to gain. I guess he could have sent them up top and fought over this expansion. I think the biggest deal though was that yeah, Thomas did not use his lead in any way. I mean, I think that's kind of the thing that Thomas does a lot, is that he doesn't really use his air in a productive way. I had a lot of games yesterday where I got just behind his inties and killed everything for free. Even like I was so much behind on, I think on like Chiron at some point, just being behind and then just getting donated the entire air force for free. Really it really allows you to do a lot of things with air after that. And yeah, in this game definitely Thomas got the air control but did not do enough with it, while Turin was focusing more on land, and he did get a nice reclaim field. Thomas was still fighting when Turin had a superior army, and there was just more and more reclaim for Turin there. I feel like Thomas' build order and just start in general felt better. I'm not sure about like the first 2 minutes build order, but just like the first 10 minutes or something, it felt like he did get the advantage there. Not sure where exactly. I don't really recall the first few minutes. There was a transport thing here, right? I mean, where Thomas had to run back with his transport. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe that was quite bad, but regardless, Thomas does do the early games really well usually. I feel like Thomas is really good at the early game stuff and build orders and things like that. I think Pepsi is also good in that part most of the time. I mean, we just watched a game yesterday where he didn't do it that well, but you know, I also sucked on that map, so. And also, he did argue later that his build order is good, and I mean, I guess it's arguable because he does get his factories up really fast. But that was about the previous cast. Anyways, well, thanks for watching. I don't know if I'll do more casts today, but I might. Just hang on tight. All right, thanks for watching.